Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Nürburgring, and welcome to probably the most exciting and definitely the most special video of this year on my channel, because today we'll be showing you the rebuilding and unveiling process of the BMW M4 CS that I crashed earlier this year. Yeah, it still kinda hurts. But first, a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video. Unfortunately, there is no sponsor of today's video because this video was quite expensive to make. According to the TÜV insurance appraisal report, to repair this car, it would have costed me 27,217 euros and 72 cents. Would have, because the final bill was about 2,000 euro higher for repairs alone, because we found a couple of other things that needed replacing that were not seen in the first place. On top, 2,500 euro damage of the barrier costs at the Nürburgring, about 450 euros recovery, so close to 35,000 euros. Yeah, and eventually I had to take out a loan from a loan shark because the bank wouldn't give me anything, and I missed a payment recently and he came and beat me up and my face is now all swollen and I have a black eye. Jokes, jokes, all jokes. The reason for my different face is because recently I had a surgery where they had to remove the metal plates from my double jaw surgery half a year ago. That's why I'm still a bit swollen. And when it comes to payments, thanks to you guys, the main sponsor of today's video on my life in general, the channel has been performing so great, so I was able to afford the repairs of this and also put a couple of extra things on top. So, let's do a quick recap. First of all, by the way, we are now at Blackfish Graphics where we applied some stickers on the car and the guys are still working on the background on other cars. That's why it's a bit noisy. We're not going to interrupt them from their work because they have to go to SM Motor Show with their cars. And also this car will be presented at SM Motor Show. More on that later on, but if you're coming, come to ProTrack stand at the Hall 7. Me and the car will be there. Now, a quick recap. Earlier this year, a fella named Andrew, the owner of this car, gave me his M4 CS to do a lap on the Nürburgring with it, and then later we would install a different suspension at 24/7 performance, and then I would do another lap and we would have some sort of comparison video. Unfortunately, on the very first lap, there was a puncture in the tire, so it was losing pressure, which caused me to crash. Now, I could have said like, you know what, I don't care, it is your responsibility, your own risk, you gave me the car, I didn't sign up for anything, I don't care. If you had no insurance, not my problem. And this is what many people do. I can name you dozens of cases here at the Nürburgring when these things happen. No one can do anything about it. Risk of the hobby, you would say. But I said, you know what, my responsibility, I don't care about any driver excuses or tire deflation. I'm going to fix the car up for you because I don't want you to leave with a negative experience from the Nürburgring. And initially I also thought it's going to cost me maybe only like, what, 7,000 euros because I seen crashes worse than this. But eventually it was not a big hit, but very precise. So it was significantly more expensive. Now, you've seen already previously when we took the car to 24/7 performance, we started to disassemble it, and then it was actually time to repair the car. So what has happened since the last time you've seen the car? After the first damage assessment, it was time to prepare the car for the repairs. We already dismantled the most of the parts, so the only big thing left to do was to take out the engine. A few hour job for 24/7 performance who know their way around BMWs. Once the engine was out, it was time to bring the chassis to the body shop to straighten the body. Unfortunately for you guys, the body shop did not want us to film the process. Unfortunately for me, the actual damage was beyond repair, and the only way to fix it properly was to replace the whole crash structure completely. After the replacement, it was time to paint the structure in the factory San Marino blue color, and I gotta say that the finish of this part looks better than when it came from the factory. Then it was time to put back the engine, buy the parts that needed to be replaced, install those, put the bumpers on, and done. Yeah, that would have been the easy way out. You bend it, you mend it, done. And of course some people might say, and also have said on the first video of the crash, like, oh, it doesn't matter if you fix it because the car is going to lose its value because it's going to be Cat D, crashed history car, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't need to justify myself towards the haters, but I can tell you that I have offered Andrew twice or even 3 times to buy the car off him, to not have him with a damaged car. And also, to be honest, it would have been cheaper for me to buy the car off him, sell it out in parts, or maybe make it a project car to myself. It would have been cheaper than those 35,000+ euros of fixing costs. But he said, I don't care about that it's a damaged car. The car has now actually more history, more value, more emotional value to me because of everything we're going through. So I don't mind that. So forget about it. I'm like, okay, fine. But I still wanted to make it up to him. So on the first day, I gifted him and his friends a taxi lap, but that's not even worth mentioning in comparison to the whole ordeal. So I was thinking, should I gift them maybe like a season ticket for unlimited laps on the Nürburgring, a couple of track day entries, 100 instruction laps, some hotel stays, I don't know, what could I have done? And then on one day, the opportunity presented itself, because as we were talking about the whole ordeal, he sent me a picture that he was at Miltech exhaust office in UK, not far away from his job. And he said, hey, maybe we can replace the bent M Performance stock exhaust by the Miltech exhaust. And then I asked him, like, hold on a second. What exactly do you want? Do you want the car being rebuilt completely as it was before I crashed? Or like, what can we do? And he said, listen, as long as the body, chassis and everything and also most importantly other components like the chassis components are being used and done in the proper way, that's fine. Exhaust, I don't mind, because eventually will be probably turning it into a track car. So don't mind some mods like that. And then I realized, all right, that's our winning ticket. Let's take things to the next level. As mentioned, Andrew already hinted that he would not mind a different exhaust, Miltech in particular, so we went for that. Not just for the rear section that needed replacement, but for a full equal-length race system, including the downpipes, finished with gorgeous burnt titanium blue tips. And here is a teaser of how it was going to sound with the valves open. This was the only item, together with the later remap, that I asked Andrew if he would not mind having those, for obvious reasons of course. Speaking of remap, even without it, we've seen this year how heat affected the performance of the cars that I drove this year.
I feel a small reduction in power.
Yeah, let's start to get hot now.
I was already talking to Carbon Fiber Dynamics for the front CS splitter and rear diffuser. And since most of the radiators needed to be replaced anyway, I asked if they had something for the cooling as well. After all, they are CSF distributor in Germany. We have upgraded the front heat exchanger, the small DCT cooler, and although it did not need any replacing, we have also replaced the top mount intercooler by the upgraded CSF versions. I remembered that CFD also supplied Venturi intake for the Apex Yaris last year, which added the beautiful intake noise together with engine bay looks. My friend Joe Achilles is also running Venturi on all of his BMWs, so I asked what they had available for it and we went for the full HSP. Complete carbon fiber intake together with carbon fiber intercooler charge pipes and carbon engine cover. I think that the looks speak for themselves. For the sake of transparency, I should mention that some of the aftermarket parts were supplied for free, some at discount and some I had to pay the full price. Nevertheless, all the companies contributed their utter best to deliver top quality product and service for unforgettable final result. Next, it was time to tackle handling components. As mentioned previously, the main reason why I was driving Andrew's car in the first place when I had the accident is that he wanted to install a different suspension, and he asked me to do a before and after video. The suspension kit that he had purchased was not too bad, but together with 24/7 performance, we decided to take it to the next level in form of Moton 3-way adjustable race suspension. It's the same kit that is installed on one of the fastest, if not the fastest, F80 M3s by 24/7 that you've seen on my channel recently. To make the geometry even more track optimized, KMP differential lift kit was added to avoid the drive shafts coming on an angle after lowering the ride height. In addition, it generates that transmission whine that all of us love due to the solid mounting points. Speaking of those, the front axle received KMP uniballs and the rear arms were completely replaced by 24/7 performance kinematic kit for zero compromise handling. But we did not stop there. In one of the recent videos, you see me drive a 991 GT3 that had a KMP steering wheel installed on it. It was a love on the first sight and touch.
But I really love the steering wheel.
Yeah, it does really much for the feeling. And slightly smaller.
It's smaller,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
closer,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're in such a good position now.
Yeah.
It's so good. Simply one of the best mods I've experienced when it comes to driver feedback. So it was a no-brainer for us to put it on this car as well. Next up were the brakes. We could of course simply change the stock pads for something more track-oriented and flush the brake fluid, but also here we went for an extra mile. A full 24/7 performance brake kit consisting out of AP racing calipers, performance friction brake discs and endurance brake pads, and finally, of course, braided steel brake lines with upgraded brake fluid. No more driver excuses when it comes to braking performance. To finalize the handling package, a set of Pro Track 1 flow-forming wheels in sizes 10 by 18 on the front and 11 by 18 on the rear was mounted, wrapped in the set of Nankang Air 1 semi-slicks. 275/35/18 on the front and the wide 295/30/18 on the rear. The complete package has already very nice stance, even though the camber values are not maxed out, assuming Andrew would still like to drive on the street. And as a finishing touch, I brought the car to Oleg from Atomic to give it a remap, so we can fully exploit the intake and exhaust mods. We've put the car on the dyno at our friends of REM, and Atomic created 4 different mappings ranging from 431 to 505 horsepowers at the wheels. Whoa, hold up Adrian, why are we showing vertical footage here?
Well, because it's the only thing we have left.
Yes, because the main footage shot on the main camera of the dyno and also later the unveiling was lost on a crashed SSD on the night after transferring the footage. And we sent that SSD to recovery servers in UK, and for the last week it has been stuck at customs. Thanks Brexit. On top, please spare yourselves educating me about the importance of backupping the data. It happened on the night before. It's the very first SSD that crashed in my whole life. And this year alone, we had like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 failing SD cards on the GoPros and the main cameras. So things like that happen. It's very unfortunate that it happened. But we still have something that we managed to film on the second camera by Adrian during the unveiling. So hopefully you can see some of Andrew's emotions when we unveiled the car for the very first time to him.
It's amazing!
We're ready, which you approved. First of all, with more power, it's good to put,
Yep.
some more intake, some more car horn,
Oh my
cooling.
That's
Yeah, the motor on suspension, 3-way adjustable.
I really hope that some of that footage was usable, or that actually that you was able to see the excitement on Andrew's face when he saw the car for the very first time, when he drove it for the very first time. And if not, we still have a backup plan, because the following day we went to a track day in Spa-Francorchamps on my birthday actually. And that footage survived because it was backupped on a different SSD. So video of that will probably follow tomorrow. And everything else that we did with the car, dyno, driving on Nordschleife, etc., may come out if SSD will ever reach the recovery service, thanks Brexit, and if the footage, if the SSD is repairable at all. We will see, the time will tell. Now, on to the final part. As mentioned, the car will be present at SM Motor Show, at the ProTrack stand at Hall 7, at the stand 7E22. So very much looking forward to seeing you all of there. I'll be there both weekends and also on the first Friday of the event. And to make the car stand out a bit more, we brought the car to Blackfish Graphics, where they put a nice finishing touch to it. So let's now unveil the car for the second time to you with the new livery.